All right, gentlemen. So I know earlier last week, the NFL schedule came out. Everybody's excited about the schedule coming out, want to see, what teams are going to be, who's going to be playing these rivalries and playoffs. You know, everything that happened from last year. Playing back up on that. So I went on NFL.com and I was looking up what they said were going to be the top 10 prime time games. And then after this, I want to, hear from you guys on your schedules as well. Like, the Rams and the Vikings, I want to hear from you guys. But okay, so they have first game they have. I really don't know how this is a prime time game, but they have Green Bay at Pittsburgh. I don't know how that's a prime time game at all, but that really don't that don't make any sense to me.
I heard a little bit about that one.
Yeah,
There was some reports about the league. They were waiting until the last minute to try to figure out what Aaron Rodgers was going to do.
yeah, yeah.
That's really that's the anticipation of Aaron Rodgers signing with the
Okay,
Steelers.
with the
Yeah.
Steelers. Okay,
Yeah.
So,
that's what
uh,
that is. Okay,
and to be clear, but they put it separate and distinct. So, if he shows up for Pittsburgh, it's already a primetime game, right?
gotcha.
If they had it 1 o'clock or 4:30 in the afternoon, and then he decides to show up, now it overshadows other teams' marquee games in that time slot. So
Gotcha.
they were just being precautionary and making it a primetime game in of itself. And if he
Yeah,
show, he showed. If he don't, no big deal.
Yeah.
right. Okay, so that's Sunday, October 26th, 8:20 p.m. on NBC for the whole world to see. Aaron Rodgers. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, really. All right. So the next one I got, they have, in the top 10. This again is not really a primetime game. The Dallas Cowboys are the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, it's this that's not even primetime. I mean, I don't know why consistently every single year. This is getting out of hand. You know what? I even looked this up. You know which team has the most primetime games in the 2025 schedule? Take a guess.
Don't say, is it the Cowboys?
It's the Cowboys. How and why? Tell me how and why they have the most prime time games. This is a joke, man. You know what? The Eagles are going to drop the banner on them, on this game and just obliterate these dudes. Come on, man. Why even make this a prime time game? This is just a waste of people's time. Why are you going to do this? The first game of the season, I could see if you put Detroit there, or I could see if you put Kansas City there, or I could see if you put, the Rams there. I mean, I could see something if you do that. But you put the Dallas Cowboys on the first game. Anyway, man, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen the Eagles in Detroit
Yeah,
week one, something like that. If you wanted to make it a divisional thing, then play back the NFC Championship game,
exactly. So
right?
yeah,
Eagles
Redskins. Yeah, I
and
mean,
Commanders, yeah,
Commanders. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Uh, waste of time, man. That don't even make it. But that one is kicking off the season. I mean, and really to kick off the season,
Yeah.
not exciting.
I mean,
Not
Jimmy,
exciting.
Jimmy, Jimmy have his hooks in the league, man. Like he has a lot of clout. For as abysmal as the team has been from a win-loss perspective over the past couple of decades,
Right, right.
and not really being relevant from a championship perspective, he's doing some. Look, I can't be mad at Jerry. Sorry, not
Jerry.
Jimmy. I keep saying Jerry. I can't be mad at Jerry. Jerry was a big proponent in helping the Rams move to LA.
Mm, yeah.
When we were trying to make the case, because originally the LA move was supposed to be the Raiders and the Chargers.
Okay.
And Stan Kroenke, who had just recently, he was just a couple of years in as the new owner of the of the then St. Louis Rams. He went in, he had his plan, his master plan to make SoFi Stadium, and because he's a real estate tycoon, right? This is
Right,
what he
right.
does. So when they had the owners meeting, and the Raiders and the Chargers, they were putting their plan out there for the owners to see, Stan he blindsided them.
Mm.
They weren't expecting it because see, they had Al Davis and help me out here, Doc, the owner for the Chargers.
Sure.
Spanos, right? They ain't got no money. I mean,
Right.
they're billionaires.
Right.
But in the realm of like owners, they don't have the cachet.
Right. Yeah.
And so what they did was they had the backing of the owner of Disney. He came in and he was going to front them the money to make this whatever it was that they were trying to do. So they go in and they got these investors coming in. And then when they were done, Stan had already spoken to Jerry, and Stan already pitched this idea of what he wanted to do for the Rams to move to LA. And Jerry was like, I got you. Because Jerry saw the dollars. Stan's plan was way better. So he came in and he blindsided the Chargers and the Raiders, presented his plan, and then all of the other owners to Jerry's behest. Jerry's like, we got to go with this one. This is going to bring in the money. We got to go with this plan. And in one fell swoop, Stan, he got it. So if you remember, the Rams was there first. So they made the move. Chargers was still in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And as a concession, what Goodell said is, if any one of you two still want to come, y'all could come a year later. Mm-hmm. Right? But the Rams got to be first. The plan was too good. Raiders is like, we going to Vegas. Mark Davis, he had his backup plan. He's like, I'm going to go to Vegas. So kudos to him. He made that move and it's working out for them. But Spanos, his lease is like $1.
That's ridiculous, man.
Like they're in there rent free.
Yeah.
He ain't paying no money like that, right? And but I think all of the concessions for SoFi, let's go to the Rams. Even the Charger games, all of that going to Stan Kroenke.
Stop it.
Yeah, because like I say, Spanos he don't have any money. All he doing, he pulling in all of the TV revenues and everything that's coming in from the team. That's his money, and then of course he has to divvy that up, operational costs, player costs, all that other stuff, and then he try to keep as much as he can for himself, which is why the Chargers they still got it. They cheap.
Yeah.
You know? But that's I don't even know how I got on that tangent, but that's the story behind that.
And real quick, the management company for the concessions of SoFi Stadium is owned by who?
Stan.
Jerry Jones.
Oh, SoFi. Yes. So
Jerry Jones owns that.
Right. Well, that was part of the deal.
That's part of the deal.
Jerry Jones, because he backed Stan, we wouldn't have moved to LA without Jerry.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he had Stan.
So you got to give him. Yeah, you got to give him some. Right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Jerry savvy, man. Jerry savvy. So all of these primetime games, keeping Dallas relevant. This dude making backdoor deal after backdoor deal to get his team up there. His team just ain't winning.
And you know what? That's a good point. No, they're not winning, and they won't win. But this is the thing here, and that's why they could be deemed America's team because they always on TV. I mean, everybody's seeing them. They're always on TV. Everybody's seeing them. So that leads me to the next point of the next game, which is Kansas City against Jacksonville. I mean, this is a come up for Jacksonville because they are rarely on TV. You know, so I mean, I don't know how they're setting this one up Kansas City went to the Super Bowl. I mean, you got Travis Hunter. I guess this was a workout between another primetime Monday night game where they're working this out. Travis Hunter, you know, we talked about this earlier where Jacksonville's wanting to sell tickets with Travis Hunter and putting him up there and then putting Patrick Mahomes. Maybe this is an intro into Jacksonville and Travis Hunter, putting them in prime time and seeing what happens. That's the only thing I could figure out with this game. I don't know. I don't. Other than that, I mean, I don't even think it's going to be a game.
No.
Yeah.
Unless something miraculous happens and Jacksonville just totally surprises us this year, but
I
don't really see much happening.
And it's at Jacksonville. That's the fun.
At Jacksonville. So that does say something. We mentioned this before. This is ticket sales, man, because with the team that has been dominating over the last couple of years with the Super Bowl, and then Jacksonville, they're trying to make them an up and comer. They've been struggling for years and years trying to get their fan base on board and trying to, generate revenue for the city. So this is a good way for them to do it. This is a good way for the NFL to throw them a bone and give them a little something.
But to what end you think? Like, why? Why would the NFL go out of their way for Jacksonville?
Because Jacksonville is one of those teams that could pretty much end up bankrupt, man. I mean, when you really look at it, you look at Jacksonville and that market. How many Jacksonville fans do you know? I mean, if you truly look at their stadium in the last couple of years, the games that they've had, really, they've been filled up by the opposing teams every single time. I mean, Jacksonville has been struggling. And that's why I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, they were trying to get them, on the bandwagon of going international and playing in London and that kind of thing. And they kind of raised their hand for that because they wanted to get some more, you know, sharing the game all over the world. So they say, well, let's get Jacksonville involved so we could pick up some more fans. People can get excited about Jacksonville. They're trying to help a struggling franchise out. That's my synopsis. That's what I think.
I agree. I mean, they're definitely trying to help him out, and I still think that London move is still on the table.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, that would be interesting if they pull that off. I mean, I know they want to go international, but if they pull that off, I mean, nobody in Jacksonville would care anyway. I mean, people in Jacksonville would care, but I don't think other NFL fans care less. With Jacksonville. So the next game they have is Cincinnati Bengals at the Denver Broncos. That's Monday, September 20th.
That's a good game.
Yeah, that sounds like a
That's a good
really
game.
solid game there. I think that's that one. Both are they in they're in the same division, right? No, that's not a division game.
No, it's not. It's
No,
not
the
divisional.
in
Conference,
the
not
AFC. Yeah.
Conference game. Okay. Again, second year quarterback Bo Nix,
Nix.
Joe Burrow. This could be again another playoff matchup that I see if Bo Nix makes that next step. So, Lee, I think we talked about this with second year quarterbacks, and I think you had mentioned that you don't really believe in Bo Nix. He's not. I mean, like you don't think that he's going to make the next step because defenses are going to adjust, and he may struggle in this second year. So
Right. The only way it happens is if no, and Peyton and Sean Payton has been pretty good at finding pieces to fit
Yeah.
his system outside
Yeah.
of the quarterback. Right. You had Alvin Kamara, you had Jimmy Graham, right? Like that. And I think in this draft he picked up a running back. I think he picked up a receiver as well. And I think if any of those rookies hit, then that could help kind of prolong it a little bit for Bo Nix and kind of get him through this next season and not have too much of a slump. But my criticism about him is that in order for him to make that jump in that system, he has to kind of play to that level, to that Drew Brees type of level.
Mm,
I don't see him doing that.
yeah. Yeah.
He has, like I said, he had the skill set. He has the skill set to run the system better than when Russ was there. Russ couldn't run it. Not
Right.
a lot of quarterbacks can run it, but he came in and he understands it. But playing above the X's and O's, that's where I think he's gonna fall short.
Mm, yeah. What's your take on that, Doc? What you think? Do you agree with that with Bo Nix in his second year?
So I figure he's going to have a slump, right? Like, I mean, most quarterbacks have a slump. Brock Purdy had a slump, but his was like three games, and then like he turned it back around during that same season, and you're going to getting paid now. But I think with Bo Nix is like you look at the Broncos, and there seems to be like these pieces, and can they make it all fit, and can they make it all gel? And I thought Bo Nix was a bad pick going into last season. He did better than I expected. They were a respectable to good team. So I think coming this year, because when I saw the matchup, I was like, yeah, I don't know, but no, Denver's actually a decent team. So I got to check myself. But I don't know if he's going to play at that, if he's able to get to that elite level, right?
Mm,
As you mentioned, above the X's and O's, really like manipulating the defense, really fully understanding the offense, understanding where the ball's going to go before the snap. And so it's pitch and catch, and it becomes easy, right?
Yeah.
So can he make plays? Yes. Can he make throws? Yes. But can he really run that offense in a way where now the defense, which is going to be a good defense, is like, we ain't got to carry the team. Oh, this is going to be great, right? So
So really, and this will be the last point on this. So you guys telling me he has the smarts of a, and hear me out on this. You may disagree, but he has the smarts of a Peyton Manning-esque kind of, got the smarts kind of
I would
thing.
put
However, does not have
it.
the creativity and the adjustment of a Drew Brees to be. So, would you agree with that or no?
No, I wouldn't say he has the smarts of a Peyton Manning. He's not on that level.
Okay, okay,
All I'm saying is his skill set plays to his strengths, allows him to adapt to that game plan seamlessly.
gotcha. Yeah,
Okay. He can, he knows he can quick read, he gets the ball out quick, right? He doesn't hold on to the ball. He understands how to throw with anticipation, stuff like that. He has a
gotcha,
little bit
gotcha.
of nimbleness to him, right? He can get out of trouble every now and then, right?
Yeah,
He's able to do that.
yeah.
But once the defense is able to understand his tendencies, and once they get a hold of that, I don't see him leveling up.
Making that, yeah, making that
Right.
next step. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Can he
And
can
that
Okay.
see that's where the Peyton Manning smarts would come into play.
Right, right,
Peyton
right, right.
Manning,
Yeah,
he wasn't like super athletic, but
right,
the minute you think you caught up to him, he's already moved up another 2, 3 steps
right, right,
because
right.
he's already going in and trying to strengthen his weaknesses and understanding his own tendencies and covering and masking that up.
Mm.
Right. I don't see Bo Nix doing that.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. I like that take. I like what you guys were saying about that. These next couple games, I'm just gonna go through these real quick. I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna go through these. They got Philadelphia, Green Bay, then they got Denver, Kansas City, then they got Chicago Commander and the Commanders. We know what happened last year with that tip ball in the end zone at the end of the game.
one versus two.
And
Number one versus
Yep.
number two
That's
quarterback.
that is true. Yeah, number one versus number two. Yep, that's a good matchup. And I think that'll be a good game. Um, two second-year quarterbacks coming in, and then you got the Chargers against the Raiders, and then again you have the Commanders against the Chiefs. You got the Eagles against the Lions. That's happening, and then you got Buffalo and Baltimore. I want to add something to this real quick. I want to add games that I think they missed. The game in my mind that I think they missed on this as a prime time game is your Rams against the Eagles.
I was kind of
I think
surprised
I
about
did they missed that.
that. Yeah.
Yes, for everything that happened, through that season where the snow, the Jared verse, and Jalen Carter and everything that happened in that game
There's a
because
story
that
behind that game.
it's a story. There's a lot of stories going on there, and I think the NFL missed that one. When I saw this list, I was like, man, they missed out on an opportunity there to really, zero in on bringing some fans to watch the game.
The Rams only have one Monday night game.
That's crazy. One?
One.
Wow. One Monday night game. I mean, I really thought for sure you guys are gonna have way more games than that based on, where I see the team is and where you're going and what happened in the playoffs and all that stuff like that. That's interesting. Who is that? Who are you guys playing on that Monday night? You know?
Oh boy, I have it right. Where is it? It's right here. I
It's interesting.
think it's San Fran.
San Fran. That's a
Yeah,
division game.
San Fran. Yeah, it's a division game. That's
Division game.
always a good game.
Always, yeah,
It's
yeah,
always a good
yeah.
game. But we have that. So we have no, sorry. No, it's not San Fran. That's a Thursday night game. The
Okay.
Monday night, and check this out. The Monday night game we have is the second, is the seventh, and we don't have a, I don't even know how to explain this. But our Monday night game is in week 17
Week 17?
against the Falcons.
It's the season over, man. And against the Falcons?
Against the Falcons.
I don't know what that was. That must be you know how they do the draft lottery, the NBA draft lottery where they got the balls? I think they
Yeah,
did that for this game, man, because there's no way that doesn't even make any sense.
right. We have three prime time games. We have the Thursday night. They call Thursday nights prime. I don't call Thursday night prime time. I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
It's Thursday
yeah.
night, right? So everybody gets two of those, so that don't count. So
Right.
outside of Thursday, we have the international game against the Jaguars, and we have that Monday night game against the Falcons.
And Joe and Penix. That's why that's why it's late in the year.
That's
They
probably
figure
why they
Penix
put
will be
that.
playing by then.
Right.
Right, right.
And I
Yeah.
think we have a Sunday night game. I think that's against the Bucks. Yeah, against the Bucks. That's it.
Wow. That's
That's it.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good segue into. I know you was talking a little bit about you guys' schedule. With what you see
Hmm.
for the Rams this year based on your schedule.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you think. You guys are going to do with your schedule and how it's all going to shake out.
So all of that aside, with the whole, with the primetime games, I love our schedule,
Okay. Yeah.
right? So I don't, this. So this what makes me believe like there's something that goes on with this stuff that, of course, the public we're not aware of, and mainstream media they don't want to kind of placate to any sort of potential conspiracy and wheeling and dealings that might be going on. But I think our schedule is the way it is on purpose because when it's all said and done, I mean, we won our division.
Right. Right.
We were, a stone throw away from potentially going to the NFC Championship game, right?
Yeah.
Good team.
Yeah.
But we're also the way that our schedule is played out. I think we end up we're going to be the third most rested team in the
Mm,
league. We
wow.
have a
Yeah.
lot of breaks
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
between our
Yeah.
games. When you have
Yeah.
all these primetime games,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Monday night, short week, right? Sunday night, right? Then to Thursday night, all these short weeks, it catches up. The
Right.
Rams we have we're the third most rested team based on our schedule.
Yeah.
So I think it actually plays to us being able to potentially have a good showing this
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
And then just a little side note here, was on some Reddit forums, and someone made note that we going bird hunting this year too, right?
You mean
So
the Falcons?
no, we going bird hunting. We playing all the birds this year.
It's
All the birds.
All the
All
birds.
right.
We play the Eagles, the Falcons, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the Ravens.
Wow. That's
They
interesting.
said the last time that happened was I think that was 22 with the Saints. But it don't happen a lot. It don't happen a lot.
That's interesting.
I
Okay.
thought that
Yeah.
was interesting. Yeah.
Man, these internet sleuths, man, they be pulling all kind of stuff out. I don't know
Okay.
how to, I don't know how they put it, but
I
that's
don't know.
interesting.
I didn't even
That's a
put
good
that
one.
together, but yeah, we
I
playing
know.
we playing all the birds.
Wow. So, I'm just going to add this little caveat in there. So that year in 2022, I would like to look that up, like what the Saints record was. I know it's
Against
different. I know it's
against
against
those
all the
teams,
birds. Yeah, all against all
four
the
and two.
birds.
4-2.
4-2. Okay.
4-2. Yeah.
Interesting.
But they
Okay.
said
Yeah.
no one who has played all of those teams went like run the gauntlet. No one has done it
Gotcha.
yet. Can't do it yet.
All right. We'll see how this goes. The season hasn't begun. We'll see. We'll see. All right. All right. So, okay. Last thing on this for you, Lee. What is your prediction for your record? Look at your record real quick. Look at that real quick and tell me what you think.
So week when we play the Texans,
Yeah.
so we got the first 5 weeks: Texans, Tennessee, Eagles, Colts, and Niners.
Yeah.
I could see us going 3-2.
3-2.
Right?
Okay.
I can see us going 3-2. Right.
Okay.
Then we got the Ravens and the Jaguars. I think we could beat the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I know we could beat the Jaguars. Right. So I could see us. Okay. So at that point, we 5-2. Then we got a bye. And then after that, we got the Saints, Niners, Seahawks, Bucks, Panthers, Cardinals. Right. That's what one. seven more. I could see us. We could lose. Yeah, we could lose one or two. Well, let's say we lose two out of the seven, right? So are we what 10-4,
10-4.
right? Then we got Detroit, Seahawks, Falcons, and the Cardinals. So I see us going. What's that? 12-6. Yeah,
12
I
and
think we go 12 and
12 and,
6. Yeah,
okay, that's
yeah.
respectable. You're a playoff team.
17. So you're going 12-5 or 11-6.
Oh yeah, 12-5. Yeah,
12-5.
that's
12.
respectable. That's what was your record last year? Y'all were about the same thing.
We were 11-6.
11-6. Yeah, yeah. 12-5. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, that could happen again. That's respectable. That's a playoff team right there. Depending on how things shake out, that's a playoff team. Winning the division. So see how that looks. So Doc, talk to us about your Vikings, man. What you think about you guys' schedule? What you guys
So
got going on?
the cool thing about the schedule, and then the weird thing about the schedule, is we play 2 international games in a row, which has not happened before.
That
The
is
week
brutal.
four. So week four, we're gonna host. No, we're on the road against Pittsburgh in Ireland. Right, first
Right.
game in Ireland ever, and then we'll have a game in London against the Browns, the Shador Sanders led Cleveland Browns, the
Okay.
next week.
Okay. That's the prediction.
Right. So, and then we have our bye, which I kind of feel is almost like I would have rather we come back for like a third, like a Monday night game or something, but to have the whole 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I guess they're trying to adjust, trying to let folks adjust back, whatever. But so I'm excited about the fact that we get to play 2 games in a row internationally. You're not flying back. We get to
Right.
adjust
Flying back.
either Ireland or England and do that. But then we come back and then we have 2 weeks to catch ourselves. And it's like, then we got to run off 12 games in a row, right?
Right. Whoa.
That's
Yeah.
the
That's a gauntlet. Yeah.
that's the brutal that's the brutal part is we almost have like a 5 game season, a break, and then a 12 game season, and the first five is kind of but no, I mean we play the Eagles when we come back. So
Yeah.
there's a chance, but we're hosting the Eagles that after the break. So I think there's a chance we'll win that game. I'm gonna use that's my flip game, especially my
Yeah.
flip game. I think outside of that, we got some interesting games. We're playing, Cincinnati. We're playing Baltimore. We're playing Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas towards the end of the season, and then we're playing on Christmas,
Okay.
hosting Detroit. Right.
Oh, that's a
So
good game. That's yeah.
so
Revenge game.
hmm?
Yeah. That's a revenge game right there.
Hey,
Yeah.
hopefully,
Yeah. The revenge game. JJ ready, man? JJ ready for this?
I hope so. He better be. No, man. I think I have heard good news that he is rehabbing well and throwing well, and his arm is lively. That he has
Okay. Okay.
a strong arm,
All right.
well, which bodes well for the offense.
Ain't nothing was wrong with that boy knee. That dude knee ain't nothing was wrong with that knee.
So, conspiracy theorists. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think first 5 games at Chicago, hosting Atlanta, hosting Cincinnati, Pittsburgh in Ireland, Cleveland in England. I'm thinking we'll end up going 4-1. I think we may lose to the Bengals, right?
Okay. Okay.
The week 7 one of Philadelphia at home. That's my flip game. That's my toss up.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't do well against physical offenses. Hence Detroit last year, and that's what Philly does. So at least we'll be rested, and hopefully we got a chance on that one. We should beat the Chargers. I'm calling Detroit a loss. I'm gonna be not too much of a homer. I'm gonna call Baltimore a loss. We should beat the Bears. Should beat the Packers. Should beat Seattle. I think we'll lose to the Commanders. We'll beat the Cowboys. We gonna beat the Giants. I think we'll lose to the Lions Christmas Day. That hurts me. And then I think we'll beat the Packers. So I have us at 11-6. If we win that game coming back off the bye, hosting the Eagles, then we go 12-5. But I think it's
Okay.
11-6. We might get that 12-5. Last year we were 14-3, but I mean we were in so many close games.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, the physical teams, and then the wily quarterback veteran. Those are the Achilles heels last year. I don't think it's going to change much. So that's where he got us
It's
record wise.
Can I
interesting.
interject real quick? I don't think the Lions are going to sweep y'all. Based on what you said, you have the Lions beating you guys twice, right? I don't think that's going to happen. We don't know what that offense is going to look like without Ben Johnson. I have a sneaky feeling the real Jared Goff is going to stand up this season, right? All that razzle dazzle and all that trickeration that they was doing before to mask, right? That's gone.
That's gone.
That's gone, right?
Yeah.
So I think the Lions are going to put a lot more of the onus on Goff to carry that offense. That's not going to work.
Mm.
That's not going to work.
That's it.
That's my
Yeah.
speculation.
Hey,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no.
That's
But and when I try to do like how do I think these are going to play out, I tend to not split within the division, right? So I got us beating the Packers twice. I got us, beating the Bears twice, and I got Detroit beating us twice. Now it may be 1-1 and 1-1, but it comes up to the same 4-2 record in the division. So I get what you're saying. There's also that game against the Chargers where it's like hardball with another year, how are things going to play out, and those may offset instead. But I get what you're saying, where Detroit's not going to be. There's a good chance Detroit's not going to be as vaunted as they were last year because the OC isn't there, and how are they going to adapt with a new play caller and trying to find their identity again? So I got you on that, but
mm.
I would love for us to go 13-4. So I hope you're right, but
Okay. All right. I mean that sounds like you guys you'll be back in the playoffs again. That's a good prediction for where you guys gonna be, man. So I'm looking forward to a couple of these games. So real quick, I want to touch on the Eagles real quick, man. No, I'm not gonna belabor on this right here. But I was watching FS and Chase Daniel, the career backup quarterback.
I can't stand him.
That's the nerve. That's the nerve to say that the Eagles will come out of their first 5 games 1-4. I mean, don't get me wrong. These first 5 games are tough games. But you talking about Philadelphia Eagles, man. Super Bowl champions. Defense, I mean, we lost them on defense. Okay, so we home opener against Dallas. That's a W. I mean, come on. I'm not even that's not even, that's not even a thing. Okay, now we travel to Kansas City. They want revenge. I don't see anything that's going to be different in Kansas City. I really can't. I don't. It's going to be a closer game. Most definitely, it's going to be in KC. It's a 425 game. It's going to be close, but I don't see that happening. All right. This is the game here in week 3 that I think is going to be a very interesting game. We're going to be home though, so your Rams coming to us
Home the
again.
last time. He was home the
Yeah,
last
yeah,
time.
yeah. We saw him the last time. We saw him the last time. So this one right here is going to be a really interesting game. I think we lose this game. I'm just being honest. I'm just being. It was close. It was really close. One play away, close kind of deal in the last game. So this one, I think we dropped this one. Tampa Bay, they have owned us really for the last 2 seasons. We played Tampa Bay. They've beaten us. They beat us in
They
the
lost.
divisional round in the playoffs the previous year, and then they beat us again last year in the regular season. And so with Baker Mayfield, so they have had a number on us over the last 2 seasons, but that comes to an end. That comes to an end this year. I think we're gonna obliterate them this season. We're gonna be playing in Tampa Bay again.
They lost their offensive coordinator too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't see anything happening there. And then the fifth game we got the Denver Broncos, which is going to be a tough game. But again, you know we're gonna have Bo Nix running for his life. I mean, Bo Nix gonna be running for his life. So I don't know what Chase Daniel was talking about in that first game. I put us at 4-1 in the first 5 games. I know that Rams game is the only one I think we lose there. Then, we got the New York Giants, that's a W. Then we got your Minnesota Vikings, Doc. And that's the flip game that you was talking about. That's a flip one for me too, because I think in the last couple seasons, I know we've beaten you guys, but again, I don't think your luck just keep running like that. It just you every now and again you gotta something happens and it just don't keep running. So I got that as a L for us there, in Minnesota. That would be that's gonna be one. Then we come back and we play the Giants again. We can sweep them dudes. So I'm not even worrying about that.
Yeah.
So that's two losses that we have so far. So now we go into these next couple games. You got Green Bay, Detroit, Dallas, Chicago, Chargers, Raiders, and Commanders. So you're against Green Bay. We're gonna beat them again. Detroit, I think we lose that one to Detroit. That's gonna be a tough game. I wish this game was last year. I wish this was last year with the guys that we had last year, but this year, it's again, it's going to be a prime time game. This another toss up, but I think Detroit could take us on this. We're going to be away at Dallas. We're going to smack Dallas again. That's going to be two wins, against Dallas. I'm not worrying about them. The Bears, we got them. Um, Chargers. Every year we always have a game that don't make any sense, and then we just lose. So I say we're going to lose to the Chargers. Then we're going to beat the Raiders. We're going to be away at Commanders. We're going to take the L there for the Commanders. That's going to be the 20th. So that's what I got, four losses right there. And then the last two we win. We got Buffalo, and then we got the Commanders again. And that's going to be you see, they got that one as to be determined for the date. They want to set that one up as a big time game against them. So really, I see the Eagles 12-5. I see us right there in the mix, 12-5. I throw a couple games in there, realistic games that I think is going to give us a challenge. And we got this year, last year, Doc. It was similar. We had our first five games and then we had a bye. And I don't know if you remember, we were 2-3, right? We were 2-3 and everything was blowing up.
You all
And
needed that
then
bye too.
we needed that bye. So that bye actually, and Doc,
That's the
that's something for you guys, with the Vikings. I know this could be pivotal for you guys depending on what your record is. You guys come, even with the bye being that early, if say you guys aren't doing well, y'all could go on a run. And that's it gives you an early grouping. If the team's not doing well, you could get together and just be like, okay, let's flip the script and let's do something different early in the season. And I think that's actually an advantage, even though you got like these 12 games that you gotta run off. At least that early on, you could make those adjustments early on and say, okay, let's make something happen. This week, our bye is in week 9, so it's like in the middle, somewhere around in the middle. So I don't know, 12-5. That's why I see the Eagles going 4-1 in the first 5 games. I think we'll be back there again. It's going to be a fight again for the division with the Commanders. I think Jaden Daniels gets them ready to play. They got revenge on their brains, but Eagles going to end up prevailing on this, man. I'm not. So that's how we look. That's how we look in with the schedule. Really, really good games, I think, coming up. So I'm interested. I'm ready for it, man. I'm ready for it. Lee, we might have to figure something out with this St. Louis game. We get get you let wifey know. We'll see what happens here in this with that game. That's gonna be interesting.
You mean LA game? You want to go to
Yeah,
LA?
that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm
You
saying.
want?
We
All
we we
right.
we, we might have to work that out.
All right. I don't mind. I don't
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. All right, all right. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, all right. So, I'm gonna flip it over to you, man. I know you had something you wanted to share about the QBs.
Yeah. There was a book that was being promoted this past week. Seth Wickersham, he's a ESPN sports analyst, primarily in the football realm, but he has this book coming out later this year. It's called American Kings: A Biography of the Quarterback. And there was an excerpt that came out of it, and in this excerpt, he was detailing, some coverage he was doing with Caleb Williams. And for anyone that was following Caleb in college, the first part of this story is not a surprise. because it was a story back then. His dad did not want Caleb going to the Bears,
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
right? He did not want Caleb going to when they realized Chicago had that first pick, they were turning over every stone they could to figure out what they could do to not get drafted by the Bears.
Mm.
I knew that, but this book, just the excerpt went into even more detail about the length that they went into to try to get out of him being picked. They were looking at maybe if he could skip the draft and sign with the USFL league for a year. Yeah. To see if
What?
that would So to see if that would allow him to enter the following year as a free agent in the NFL.
Yeah.
This is how desperate they were. Right. He did not want him going to the Bears. He said the Bears is where quarterbacks go to die. That's what his dad said.
Wow.
And I mean, he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was right.
They talked to labor lawyers.
Justin Fields, Mitch Trubisky, right? These were all high first round draft picks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and all that being said, he spoke to Archie Manning as well. And he wanted to know, well, how did you get Eli to, how did you pull that off?
Right.
So, long story short, Caleb, he goes and he doesn't do the Shador thing, right? He actually goes to these interviews and he's talking to the teams and making himself present and being earnest within the meetings themselves. And when he met with Ryan Poles with the Bears, Ryan Poles says, "I don't care what y'all do, we're drafting you." So when we're not trading the pick, we're drafting you. That's what's going to happen. So
no matter what.
No matter what. So Caleb resigned himself. Like he's like, this is his fate. Kudos to him. To be honest with you, he was like, look, it's inevitable. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to buy in. So he bought in and he went in there with full earnest to being the Bears quarterback and trying to do what he can to help turn the franchise around. However,
one thing, the only way they could get out of it, possibly, is to essentially try to burn down the city of Chicago. Come out and say, we ain't playing for y'all. We gonna sit here and pout until we make the city do something. And they just didn't want to do that to the city. Like that's just wasn't in their mindset. But that would be the only way they might be able to get out of it, is essentially to give the whole city of Chicago the middle finger and be like, we ain't coming to play for y'all.
Get everybody to hate him, basically. Yeah. Right? To make it so toxic to where the Bears are like, you know what, but again, kudos to him. He's like, no, he doesn't want to do that. So he goes to the Bears, right? Bears got him, and more of the excerpt talks about how there was no structure. Now, when he went there, Doc, you and I, we talked about this. The first thing I noticed, I said, well, a couple of things. The OC is Shane Waldron. Shane Waldron is another one of those lame, really horrible offensive coordinators who came from the Rams when the Rams were bad.
Yeah.
So I knew he was not going to be the guy to be able to really get Caleb to really unlock him and get him to his full potential. Right. Caleb still had a good season for a rookie, but we saw what happened, right?
Yeah.
The second thing was Caleb said something along the lines of no one was showing him how to study the tapes. So he would find himself in this, in the study, watching tape, watching in the film room by himself, and no one guiding him and showing him what he needed to do.
What to look for, what to read, keys.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. When I first read that, I was like, oh my God, it really made the Bears, like that last regime, look awful, bad.
Yeah.
But then I had to really do a double take, right? And I'm like, some of that I think he over exaggerated. Me, just speculating. I don't know, right? He said what he said. But one, you have film study with your positional group. So of course there were quarterbacks, and the offensive coordinator, you're studying film together.
Right.
Then you have some players, some, not all. Some go and they study individually. Mm-hmm. You have players who have said that they don't do that. Right? Rob Gronkowski said he doesn't study film.
Mm.
right, by himself. He just relied on Tom Brady. He said, "I know Tom Brady got it." That's a quote.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
with Caleb, he was trying to figure out how do I do this by myself, and he said there was no one in the organization to that would teach him or show him how to do it. I find that hard to believe that if he really went to someone and said, "Hey guys, tell me what to do or show me how to," that like no one would take some time out to say, "Hey Rook, this is what you do. This is how
Right,
you
right,
go
right.
about it."
Yeah.
But the problem with what the Bears did, they didn't have a veteran on that team. They didn't have a veteran quarterback. They did not sign a veteran quarterback. They drafted Caleb Williams, and upon drafted him, basically said, "You're the starter." Didn't even make him
Right,
work for it.
right,
They
right,
had
right.
no one there to challenge him. They could have. Who was out there, Doc?
Well, they had Justin Fields. They didn't have
Yeah.
they no hold on, but they didn't have to get rid of Justin
True.
Fields,
They
right?
didn't. They
But there was
didn't.
Joe
Right.
Flacco,
They didn't.
Joe
But
Flacco,
but I
Joe
Joshua
Flacco.
Dobbs.
I think from a PR perspective, I
I
was
got
thinking
you.
more so Joe Flacco, bringing Joe
Yeah,
Flacco in, right?
Joshua Dobbs.
Right.
But from a PR perspective, if they were going to go and draft Caleb Williams, they had to get rid of Fields because you had the fan base was split 50-50.
Right.
You had some avid Justin Field fans who felt they didn't want them to get rid of
Right.
him.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So that I think that would have created some sort of like a firestorm that they wouldn't have been able to manage. And we all
Definitely.
know they couldn't even manage the team, let
Right.
alone
Yeah.
manage the fans' expectations on it, in that realm.
Jacoby Brissett could have been somebody else that you
Right,
could bring in.
right.
Yeah. Wow.
Because even Drake May had a what's the guy's name? Because Drake May didn't start the first couple of weeks.
No.
Wasn't it Brissett?
Brissett, you're right, Jacoby
Yeah,
Brissett.
Jacoby
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brissett.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett.
So my question is, why? Why did Caleb and his dad not want to go? I mean, like you said, it was the QB. They were going there to die. So okay. So my question is, now that Ben Johnson is there, right? Do you see with the creativity he had with your boy
In
Jared
Detroit.
Goff.
Jared Goff in Detroit, is he bringing that same, that same thing? So would you feel like this year's Caleb is going to be somewhat unlocked in this second season?
Yes, I think Caleb is going to be unlocked. He's not going to have a sophomore slump because I mean, as much as again, he had a really good season.
Right, right.
3,500 yards passing, over 20 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions, 62% completion rate, percentage, right? With all of that turmoil going in, he played good football.
Yeah, yeah,
So now with Ben Johnson coming in, Ben Johnson is going to be able to unlock him and get him, I think, to play above those stats that he had last year. My only concern is that once we get to a particular threshold of this is what the schemes are,
hmm,
it's not going to happen next year. It
right.
probably won't happen the year after that. Maybe like year 4. Caleb Williams, how do I want to say this? Because he's so talented and he's relied on his unique skill set and athleticism his entire career, is he going to do enough to really get to that Patrick Mahomes level,
I got you. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And be what we think he can possibly be.
yeah, yeah.
Another thing is that with Ben Johnson, one of his staples is play action. Caleb Williams, he doesn't have a lot of experience turning his back to the defense and running the play action offense.
Yeah,
That's going to
yeah,
be interesting. And Ben Johnson is going to demand that he gets the ball out playing rhythm.
right.
That's another thing Caleb Williams hasn't done. He's never
Yeah,
done that.
right, right, right.
He always ad libs. And
Yeah,
so one or two things are going to happen with Caleb Williams. Either he's going to get to that. I won't say he's going to be as good as Patrick Mahomes, but we're going to be kind of talking to him in that same vein, or he's going to be Kyler Murray.
mm, yeah. You know,
Super talented,
yeah,
crafty, right? But never able to reach his full potential.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, on that real quick, I think the latter for him. That's just me. I think it's Kyler Murray. I think Ben Johnson is going to do a phenomenal job of
Yeah.
scheming up for him.
Mhm.
However, I don't think that he's gonna make I mean, don't get me wrong, like you said, he had a great season last year as a rookie, right? With all of that offensive line trash and all that stuff going on, and he had a fantastic season. I think he's Kyler Murray. I think that's where his for me, his ceiling is going to be with all the greatness that was promised to him, and with Ben Johnson there, he's gonna do some good things. But I think that's where the ceiling is for him.
Let me paint a picture here, right? And I want to use Kyler Murray, who was the head coach. He's offensive coordinator for the Commanders now.
Kingsbury.
Kingsbury.
Jeff
So
Kingsbury.
Kingsbury
Hmm.
was Kyler Murray's.
Right, right.
I think there's something to, and I think Ben Johnson is this type of coach as well, where he wants to pick his own guy.
Right. Yes.
He'll work with you. He'll
Right.
work with you.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think he would really want to be able to pick his own guy. If he
Hmm.
had to pick his own guy, I don't think it would have been Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Just speculating. I look at how Kyler struggled with Cliff, right? He played well.
Right. Right.
He played well. But when Cliff went to the Commanders and they picked Jaden Daniels,
Yeah.
it's like night and day.
Night and day, man.
Night and day. Same
Night
offense,
and day. Yes.
It's the same offense that he was running
Wow.
with the Cardinals. But he
Yeah.
got someone who really fits what he wants him to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting if Caleb doesn't like make the necessary adjustments
Yeah.
and play in that structure that Ben will ultimately want him to play. Because
Hmm.
with all of Jared Goff's faults, he's a quarterback that plays in structure. He is
Structure. Yes.
he's a
Yes.
very structured quarterback.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Ben can get with that, right?
Right.
But I don't know if Caleb has that type of discipline in his game to be able to really go all in that type
Yeah.
of an offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're bringing this up because realize both with Kyler Murray and with Jayden Daniels, extremely
Mhm.
talented quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Both have played under Cliff Kingsbury. And remember, Kingsbury went to Arizona because they had the number one pick and it was going to pick Kyler Murray, right?
Right.
Hey, who would you pick? I pick Kyler Murray. So they got Kyler Murray, right? The rumors were that Kyler Murray wasn't putting in the work.
Right.
Remember when it came down for that extension, that there was a whole clause about you got to look at the tablet. The tablet can tell where your eyes are, and if you don't get X amount of hours on the eyes, you're going to lose money, right?
Hmm.
You've not heard that about Jayden Daniels. The dude is hungry. The dude is humble. He works hard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He wants to go back over plays before the game starts just to make sure he has everything done, right? And so when you have talented people who work as if they don't have talent, that's when you see exceptional play. So now that you got Ben Johnson, who can make good quarterbacks look great in structure if they just follow what the OC / offensive guy wants to do, is Caleb Williams going to get to that next level because he's going to play in structure and put in the work and understand the philosophy of the offense? Or is he going to Willie Beam in it and use his talent, right? And just try to make plays and play hero ball. And the team is going to end up being 9-8, 10-7. They might make the playoffs. They may not, but not really challenge for the NFC Championship or a Super Bowl berth, right? And that's going to be the issue.
Right.
Two. One is Caleb actually going to get on board and work hard to learn what Ben Johnson wants him to do. And then secondly, is McCaskey as the owner and Poles as the GM gonna do what the head coach wants them to do to build the team, build the culture, build the infrastructure to make the Bears a winning franchise? Because that typically hasn't been what's going on. And don't forget, right now they're trying to get a whole bunch of money from the people to build a new stadium someplace else. So right now the organization ain't really focused on trying to win a Super Bowl. They trying to get some money to build a 1.2 whatever billion-dollar new, wonderful facility, new stadium, and everything else. So if you're trying to do all that, you ain't gonna spend no money to bring in some guy who's gonna be worth 4 years, $100 million, $80 million guaranteed, because that $80 million guaranteed got to go into escrow and saved in the bank. So don't be surprised if you start seeing some really good players in a year or two start getting traded like they've done in the past. Khalil Mack, right? Where they start trading people who are really, really good because they anyway. So I think those are two things. One is Caleb going to be on board, and two is the organization, the owner, and the GM going to be lockstep with the head coach. The way you see Philly, the way you see the LA Rams, the way you saw Detroit, where everyone was in alignment and everyone was on the same page. And we
Yeah,
have not seen it from Chicago. And the question is, will we see it now? They got the head coach, presumably, right? But is the owner and the GM going to allow the head coach to flourish? So
that's the question. That is the big question, and I guess that'll be answered over the next couple of years. Starting this year, I think Ben Johnson is definitely a step in the right direction, and you're
yep.
heading in that direction. But there's so many other, like you said, Doc, so many other factors that go with that. Is that going to pan out in the end? So, guess we'll see over the course of the next year or two.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. All right. All right. Well, this was good, man. I think we got some good stuff to cover. So, I know, we coming up, these next couple weeks, you have, I guess a lot of teams are really, on guys are still on breaks and still, getting the stuff going, but you got some things coming up. I don't know if there's, yep, yep, OTAs, mini camps, all of this coming up. So that's going to be interesting. I know a lot of stories are going to come out of that as well as these camps get started.
Yeah. Gonna
Yep,
see some
yep,
cuts, some trades, some more
yep,
moves being made. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we'll definitely jump on and cover those as well. All right, fellas. Yeah, that's a good one. All right,
All right.
take care.